Good evening, you're watching The Buck Stops Here and I'm Barkha Dutt. On the program this evening, our top story: has diplomacy for a change trumped decibel? Has noise finally taken a backseat in the debate around nationalism? Those pictures you're seeing on your screen took place despite hysteria in some sections of the media over Kashmiri separatists being invited to Pakistan's National Day. But Union Minister General VK Singh, and important to underline here, also a former Army Chief of India, attended that event standing shoulder to shoulder for the few minutes that he was there with Pakistan's High Commissioner to India, Abdul Basit. This despite the fact that some in the media have now decided to make this a test about nationalism, calling every single person who attended that Pakistan National Day reception today a traitor. Has this reduced and shrunk the diplomacy debate? In the age of the hashtag, have we lost our intelligence when it comes to deciding what the contours of diplomacy can be? Or has the BJP in fact tied itself up in self-created Hurriyat knots? Because remember, it was the BJP that first scrapped Foreign Secretary talks over Pakistan talking with Kashmiri separatists, and today its Union Minister attended an event attended by those same separatists. Not helping the BJP, of course, is the fact that this event comes a few days after twin terror attacks in Jammu. And Syed Ali Shah Geelani, the hardliner pro-Pakistan Hurriyat leader, had this to say while talking to the media at that Pakistan event, insulting both victims of terrorism as well as embarrassing the BJP when he said, there is no terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir, there is only state terrorism, and it is state terrorism by the police and the army that has oppressed the people there. Now this kind of inflammatory, provocative anti-India remarks presents a clear dilemma and a challenge for the BJP. The same BJP that scrapped talks with Pakistan because its High Commissioner met with Kashmiri separatists, today, as we saw in those pictures, sent its former Army Chief and Union Minister to attend the event. On the program today, we're asking, is the BJP on a sticky wicket, or is this merely a storm in a teacup, a media-created storm in a teacup? Let's introduce our panel this evening. Joining us from the BJP is its senior leader and spokesperson, Sambit Patra. Joining us from the Congress today, we are joined by senior leader VK Singh. Joining us from Jammu tonight is Wahidur Rahman, the leader of the PDP. That's of course part of the ruling coalition in Jammu and Kashmir. We're also joined by General Shankar Prasad, a defense analyst and someone who served as a commander in Jammu and Kashmir. And with me in the studio is Shekhar Gupta, senior journalist, editor and commentator. I'll start with you, Sambit. There are many of us who are willing to stand up against sections of the media that are making this a test of nationalism. But for the BJP, this presents a peculiar kind of dilemma. For the BJP, what it looks like today is that your Pakistan policy is absolutely confused. The same government that scrapped talks with the Foreign Secretary after the High Commissioner of Pakistan met with Kashmiri separatists is today sending its Union Minister to attend an event also attended by separatists where Geelani is making anti-India remarks. How does the BJP reconcile its dualism on this issue?
Barkha, there is no dualism and there is no confusion either as far as Pakistan and the relation that we are supposed to make with Pakistan is concerned. I mean, today the MEA statement is being absolutely emphatic and quite categorical in stating, as it had stated previously also, that as per the Shimla agreement and the Lahore declaration, there are only two stakeholders as far as talks between Pakistan and India is concerned, and these two stakeholders are the Union of India and the Republic of Pakistan. Okay. There are no third or fourth stakeholders, so the separatists are no stakeholders as far as talks are concerned.
That is not
and
my
if
question.
You are right in pointing
my question
out,
is not about a tripartite dialogue. My question is, Sambit, either the BJP made a mistake the first time you decided to scrap the Foreign Secretary talks by painting yourself into a corner, now you don't know how to get out of it, or you have made a mistake today by sending the Union Minister, because it's the same principle at stake, Pakistan's engagement with Kashmiri separatists.
Both the incidences have to be viewed with different lenses. The first one, in which we drew red lines and cancelled the talks between the Foreign Secretary level, was sometime when we had warned the Pakistani delegation, the Pakistani envoy rather, that before talking to the government, when the days were also drawn, you were not supposed to engage yourself with the separatist leaders.
Yes.
But not keeping our warning in their mind, not heeding to the Indian government's warning, they went ahead with the talks with the separatists in order to draw out their roadmap of conversation with Indian government. And that is where we objected very strongly, and we drew the lines that not in the future.
So you don't believe, you don't accept that the BJP has been inconsistent. We'll get to the merits of attending
no,
or not attending.
We are not at all being inconsistent. Barkha, you have to visualize today's event as mere diplomatic posturing. Today is not a day where two governments are sitting on talking table. Today is a day when Pakistan is celebrating its Pakistan Day, and it's akin to the Republic Day that India celebrates. It is just diplomatic niceties, diplomatic posturing that India has to offer to Pakistan today, and that's the reason as to why we are not visiting the guest list of Pakistan on the day as today.
Okay, Abhishek Singh.
It is mere posturing.
I don't know what posturing means. I'm assuming you mean that it's courtesy, it's social grace to attend each other's national day. Is that what you mean?
Yes, exactly.
Abhishek,
niceties, the diplomatic niceties.
Abhishek Singhvi, is that something that the Congress is willing to go along with? And I ask you this because for the 10 years that the UPA was in power, it is not as if separatists did not attend the Pakistan National Day, and it is not as if the Congress-led government did not send its representatives. It is varied from year to year, the scale of the representation. Sometimes it's been a joint secretary, sometimes it's been nobody, sometimes it's even been ministers. So why is the Congress making a halla over this?
You're absolutely right, Barkha. There is not and cannot be a halla over attending a reception.
Okay.
And that is why the issue is something totally different.
Okay.
Sticky wicket is the mildest phrase, I think, which you can find.
What is the
more
word you
serious
use?
phrase and the more accurate phrase is that they are now caught in a muddle and a jumble on Jammu and Kashmir, on the one side with their newfound ally and partner in Gathbandhan, and on the other side with their lack of coherence and their inconsistency on the Indo-Pak relations front. And let me explain why. You have on the one hand a cancellation of talks because there was a meeting. You then have a 2.5 months tangoing from which a Sarkar comes in J&K. Within 2 weeks you have a series of statements there which cloud the whole thing, go against the very grain of the identity of the BJP. They still lumber on. There is complete lack of coherence because there is flip-flop and flip, because you then send the foreign secretary. Barely a few days later, not on the National Day, yesterday, Mirwais meets
the High Commissioner.
Today somebody meets. And tomorrow and day after there will be other meetings. Now all that the Congress is asking is, please state your coherent, consistent policy.
But it's not
that
as
should
if, it's
include
not as
number
if the
one.
Congress was so consistent. It's not as if Manmohan Singh did not have a pet Pakistan
policy
that the Congress sometimes supported and sometimes made him backtrack from. Diplomacy cannot be definitive and written in stone. The art of diplomacy is adaptability.
Barkha, we do not have knee-jerk reactions. We did not start with a swearing in with the SAARC countries and a cancellation because of the talks because somebody visited the High Commission. And then a restart because you wanted to send the Foreign Secretary on a tour, and then again a stoppage, and this time no stoppage by saying that it is only a national day. Now please tell me what is the consistency in this.
Okay, quick response from
Sambit. Half a minute more, half a minute more.
Okay,
no, half a minute more. You start with SAARC swearing. In the swearing in,
I've got
you then
argument.
do the break, then you send the Foreign Secretary. I mean, what is this? And that too for J&K. And this is without counting Mr. Mufti Mohammed Saeed and his lover.
Can I Barkha quickly?
Okay, very quickly, Sambit, and I want to open up the panel now, so please be brief. Sambit.
Yeah. I mean, no one can deny today that the opposites of Congress are staring at our face. Opposites in the sense, if the BJP says it's day, the Congress has to say it's night. If you would remember, Barkha, on the same panel we were debating when the talks were called off and when the red lines were drawn. And it was probably the same Mr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi who was saying, why the hell did the Indian government cancel the talks? And today when the talks are going ahead, they are saying why they are not cancelling the talks.
But what is the BJP saying?
It is always the opposite that they have to say.
Forget what the Congress is saying. Let's talk
about...
The
BJP is consistent. BJP is consistent on courtesies, on extension of niceties. the Congress statement was that during that period you had questioned as to why the talks were cancelled then.
Okay, now I think both of you have said enough.
But having said that, today's day is separate from what you are trying to correlate with.
Your argument.
We still maintain that before talking to us, you cannot talk to the separatists. Before you cannot draw the roadmap of talk between India and Pakistan by the separatists.
Okay. Now Waheed Rahman, watching this from Jammu and Kashmir. My question to you is a little different. The fact of the matter is Pakistan continues to recognize only the Hurriyat as the true representatives of Jammu and Kashmir. When people from your party, from the National Conference, from the BJP, from the Congress actually contest elections, there is no recognition by Pakistan of the elected representatives as the true representatives. Does that not upset you as a young politician from J&K?
I'll answer that, but before that I will want to tell you that people who have been questioning the consistency of BJP over Pakistan, that the Congress itself has been consistently inconsistent in handling the issues to Pakistan. The reason today there is chaos on handling Pakistan today is what they have been doing for last many years, and handling the way they handle Pakistan that is why there is a chaos today, how to deal with a country which is your neighbor. Pakistan is a geographical reality, democratic reality in front of you. You cannot avoid engagement with Pakistan at any cost, even if it's a war, it's a peace, whatever situation it is. You have to have a relationship with Pakistan. And when you say that they've been recognizing Hurriyat now coming to Kashmir, the reason we want an interstate and intrastate engagement with the people of Jammu and Kashmir and the people of India all across together is that if you don't talk to your own people, then these diplomatic embarrassments will continue to happen. It has been happening from last 40 years. Not even Pakistan, but people from England, America come and interact with Kashmiri separatists.
So you're saying, Waheed,
Kashmir has a strategic importance.
Delhi doesn't reach out to the Hurriyat,
Kashmir has a, no,
if Delhi doesn't reach out to the Hurriyat, Pakistan or somebody else will. That's what I'm hearing you say.
Obviously, the people of India have to talk to the people in Kashmir, irrespective of their ideologies. And Kashmir has a political, strategic and diplomatic importance. You know it.
Okay. Now, before I bring the politicians back, let's just hear from, Waheed, hang on. Let's just hear from the General and from Shekhar. General Shankar Prasad, first to you. Now, Geelani's remarks are obviously very disturbing and provocative, but these are Geelani's politics. We've known them for decades. This is what Syed Ali Shah Geelani believes. My question is whether attending a Pakistan Day event should be made into a test of nationalism. What space are we going to leave for diplomatic maneuverability if this is how we begin measuring patriotism?
Exactly.
You're absolutely correct. Diplomacy is evolving. Diplomacy changes with circumstances. I totally agree with that. But there is a serious problem today, Barkha.
Yes.
Before the last general elections, we heard the Prime Minister saying that till so long as there is firing on the line of control and this bum and goli, no talks will take place. That's the plank on which he got elected to the Prime Minister's position. Then he made a strong statement at the time of his swearing-in ceremony when he invited the Prime Minister of Pakistan. We took that also as some indication. But why today every single Indian is so confused is because when the Foreign Secretary talks were to start, just because the Hurriyat came and met them, which has also been happening in the past, then the present government called off the talks. Now, since yesterday, the Hurriyat is in dialogue with the Pakistan High Commissioner, yet the Government of India participate, and not only with the MOS as the Ministry of External Affairs, but that also a retired army chief. Diplomatic relations are one side, but there has got to be some consistency in how the nation has to perceive this.
So what bothers you, General?
Everybody is highly confused today.
General, let me clarify. What bothers you is not so much VK Singh, a former army chief, and there is a message in that also.
That's the point.
What bothers you is not him being there, but the inconsistency of the BJP.
No, Barkha, that's what I'm trying to say. If the government had to send somebody today, just because it's a national day for neighboring country, maybe a joint secretary Pakistan could have gone, maybe a minister in some other ministry could have gone. Sushma Swaraj has not gone. Why did you send a retired army chief? He was looking so uncomfortable. I was watching him on television. He just stayed there for 10 minutes and ran away from there. I mean, of course, the government must have told him to go, which is why he went. But the point I'm trying to make is this: it is sending highly confusing signals to all of us, common
you
citizens.
make an important point that if he
was
was going to go,
comes out in the press and make an opinion.
Okay, you're saying if he was going to go, why make this brief kind of appearance for the cameras and then literally flee from the scene, as it were, kind of half defensive about being there? Now, before I take that back to the politician, Shekhar, you actually attended, you're coming from the Pakistan Day event, and I must say, in the interest of disclosure, that I was invited as well, and I would have certainly attended had it not been for being stuck in the studio here with work, because I reject anyone's patriotism being measured like this.
Well, frankly, I do not believe, I'm trying to recall, but I do not believe I've ever attended this reception, although I'm invited every year for more than 30 years now. But today I went only to make the point that a citizen of India, a civilian citizen of India, is free to meet any foreign diplomat as long as he or she is accredited by the President of India, right?
No question.
Nobody should judge my patriotism, my intentions.
But the problem is the Geelanis of the world will say we are not Indians. They will not consider themselves part of India like you and I would.
But I have come to Punjab with me. A lot of people would like to say I'm American, right? They will not become American or Canadian, spelled K-A-N-A, right? That will not make them Canadian. So Geelani has said nothing new. You put a camera.
No, but Geelani has said there is no terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir.
You put a camera in front of it.
2 days after two twin terror attacks in Jammu.
But these are still only 2 attacks after a long time. Even when Jammu and Kashmir Valley was on fire, he would still say that. So why are we laying such store by what Geelani is saying? Look at the facts on the ground.
Why did you go today? Why was it important for somebody like you who's never attended this before to go today?
Well, because I refuse to accept this kind of fascism, this kind of McCarthyism, that you cannot visit a country's embassy while the country's embassy can operate happily in your country on their national day. What kind of nonsense is this? This is ridiculous. And also this whole idea
of the BJP being inconsistent. Speak to that, and then I want to take it back.
No, General Shankar Prasad first.
Look,
I see there is no problem with sending an ex-army chief, because General VK Singh was not sent as the ex-army chief. He was sent as a Minister of State with independent charge
in the External Affairs Ministry.
In the External Affairs Ministry. What he did before that is incidental. So he was not sent there to
send a message of some kind. Either an olive branch or an olive.
No. In fact, you can send a message, and the message.
No, if I was respond to this.
If I was a Pakistani watching it, I'll say, oh, in this country, civilian authority matters.
It's not that simple as Shekhar making out it to me.
Quick response, and then Abhishek Singh. General Prasad, quick response, and Abhishek Singh.
No, Barkha, I need to respond to this.
Respond.
You see, it's not a question of symbolism. There is an army chief. He cannot be absolved from that position from where he retired. We could have sent anybody else but an army chief.
But he's now a minister.
Of course, he's a politician today.
But he's joined a political party.
Of course, he's a minister. But why send an army chief who has commanded an army, which today a Pakistan separatist says are spreading state-sponsored terrorism? That means this gentleman who is the army chief attending today was actually commanding a force which is state-sponsored terrorism.
General Prasad,
look, he's joined a political party.
No, Barkha, this is not correct. I'm sorry, I cannot let this go away. An army chief is a symbolic. Every single, even today, I am an army officer, retired.
Then you should stay symbolic, sir.
I can do what I feel. But
the day you join a political party
that we've all accepted.
The day you win an election and become a minister, you are a minister.
No, you're missing the point.
General Sahab, hold it. We'll explore this. Let's see what our politicians think about it. Abhishek Singhvi, is there an added layer of debate to the fact that a former army chief went as India's representative? Or is that purely coincidental?
Let me be very clear, Barkha, that first...
Abhishek.
Barkha,
yes.
First and foremost, let it be clear that it would be laughable if anybody objected to the fact that Indians are attending a Pakistan Day reception.
Yes.
I mean, there cannot be two views.
Yes.
Certainly, you cannot measure patriotism by attendance to Pakistan. I have once in a while done that, very infrequently, but yes. My wife has performed at the former Pakistan ambassador's High Commissioner's residence.
Yes.
So this can hardly be an issue. I don't think anybody is debating that issue. Secondly, I think the general makes an interesting point of optics, that while I don't see anything wrong in sending the MOS, and he went as MOS, not as general, a former general, but I think certainly more sensitivity in the choice should have been shown, and therefore he ought not to have been sent. So it's a matter of propriety and comfort, and there I agree with the general. Thirdly, Thirdly, the issue is much larger. It's the please tell us as the government of India the coherence, the consistency of the policy about talking or not talking to Pakistan. We are not saying don't talk if somebody visits the High Commission. We are saying please be consistent, clear and coherent.
But how consistent?
And that is the only thing missing for the last 9 months.
I will put that to the BJP, but how consistent were you able to be? Look back at your 10 years.
Let me answer.
The India-Pakistan relationship is the toughest relationship in the world, probably tougher than Israel and Palestine, because it is intertwined by both history and hostility.
Let me answer.
It is not easy for any politician to craft a consistent India-Pakistan policy.
You see, I totally disagree with the format, Barkha, as you know.
Yes.
That assuming that we were inconsistent, which we were not.
Yes.
How on earth is it relevant for a second inconsistency by the present government and how it promotes national interests? I fail to understand. Okay. So it's nothing but a rhetorical question.
Okay.
Secondly, merely because somebody on this program finds the Congress inconsistent and chooses to ignore the huge interesting inconsistency of the Lahore bus trip by Vajpayee, followed by the Kargil war, followed by the Agra trip, followed by the Parliament attack, followed by Musharraf going away from Agra in a route-away manner. That inconsistency doesn't strike the gentleman who has just been talking about Congress inconsistency. Thirdly, please tell me the specifics of the inconsistency. We might not have been successful in solving the Indo-Pak, but more initiatives were taken on Indo-Pak front. In fact, everybody knows Dr. Manmohan Singh had a special push on that always than in any other time. Whatever has happened in the last 10 years. Otherwise, you only had Kargil, Parliament attack, Lahore and Agra.
No, you also had Sharwal Sheikh and the entire party gunning for Manmohan Singh's head with that joint statement.
Very well. So let's assume there are some, there are some ups and downs.
Okay.
Let's assume that. Okay. See the 10-year period.
Okay.
What is the great inconsistency?
Sambit Patra, what happened to the whole mocking the Congress for feeding biryani to Pakistani infiltrators? Firstly, I have a real problem with biryani becoming some kind of, again, barometer of patriotism. There is a communal subtext there, and now with Ujjwal Nikam's sort of confessions, it raises all kinds of fresh questions. But the same BJP that mocked the Congress for feeding biryani today in government actually finds that when you have to manage this relationship, you can't be as strident as you were in opposition. Isn't today's sending of VK Singh an admission of that fact? What's wrong in saying life is much more complex in government than in opposition?
Barkha, give me some time, let me answer point by point. First and foremost, well, yes, Congress was not only inconsistent, but Congress was wrong in dealing with Pakistan. The way it dealt with Pakistan was absolutely wrong, but they have paid the price for that in the sense they have been reduced to 44. But having said this, let me come to what we are doing. What you see as inconsistency, you in the sense was the other panelists see as inconsistency. I see it, just a second, I see it as consistency in a different way. Why do I see it as consistency in a different way? We give you space, I'm in Pakistan, we give you space first to perform. If you don't perform, we hit you with a stick. Then we allow things to cool, and then again we give you a space to perform.
But where
if you don't perform again, we have a red line again.
By your own definition, there were twin terror attacks in Jammu. In fact, we can bring up those shots if we can now. There were images of grief among civilians, among security personnel. So if this is going to be your definition, the timing is not quite what you are suggesting it is, Sambit.
Barkha, initially you would remember, as everyone was suggesting, that Nawaz Sharif was invited for the swearing-in ceremony of Mr. Narendra Modi.
Yes.
That was one way, give you an opportunity, and then you fell for the opportunity. You came to India, but you had talks with the separatists. We did not allow you to continue any further. But thereafter, again we have given you a chance with caveats that, well, terrorism cannot be allowed across the border, and some courtesy-like gestures, what I was calling as diplomatic niceties. But Barkha, let me assure the people of this country, if this is what Pakistan continues to do, then this is the only government which is to send out strong flagellation to Pakistan in strong words,
but
that we are not going to be
my own observations of the BJP is that you were the only party that actually initiated a dialogue with the Hizbul Mujahideen. You were the only party that at the highest level had an overt meeting with the Hurriyat conference, LK Advani as deputy PM. Instead of owning these imaginative peace initiatives, you are today apologizing for them. Now, Wahidur Rahman, please respond to the general point that sending the army chief is sending a confused message to the cadres, to those who are still in olive greens. What are you trying to say? What is the message you're trying to say by sending a former army chief?
What I really fail to understand that how is a nationalism of general different than of a common Indian or of a politician? I think there is not, it has hardly to do anything with general or a politician. If a general, somebody who is an Indian is an army, becomes he's eligible to be in army, he's eligible to be in politics. So how do you differentiate that? What is the definition of nationalism in India today? The biggest problem today we are having in this country.
Wahid, would
the
be
radical
that
shift which is happening.
The difference would be that soldiers are actually dying for the
let me clear first.
For the nationalism they believe in.
Let me clear it first. They're also, we are more worried than the general who thinks he is worried. We are more worried about what's happening. The counter-terrorism mechanism has to be very efficient there. We don't stop that. But we are also talking of more than that. That is prevention of terrorism. How do you people becoming terrorists and coming to this place? So you have to think of prevention of terrorism, not only counter-terrorism. The generals think of counter-terrorism mechanism. We are thinking of beyond counter-terrorism mechanism, that people should not even become terrorists. That's why we want to engage. And second important thing which I want to say, that the radical shift which is happening today because of the TV channels in the whole of country, that India is shifting from an incredible India to an intolerant India. Why do you make issues of these small diplomatic engagements which has been happening from last many years, just because few channels ran the story and showed the nationalism because of
well, we're actually taking on those channels. We're actually taking. We are not in agreement with those channels.
Can I come in for half a second?
Yeah. Okay, Shekhar and then General Shankar Prasad. Shekhar, go ahead.
I was drowned in the noise a little bit, but just think coolly. Sending a minister of state who's a former army chief is actually a very good message to Pakistan.
I would think so too. It's an interesting message.
Can the Pakistanis imagine such a thing happening in their country? Yet it cannot happen, right? Because an army chief, a former army chief, they have an exalted status in the political structure of Pakistan. A former army chief has chosen to join public life. He has joined a political party. He has won an election. He's taken his oath on the constitution. He now represents government of India in any...
But let me give you General Shankar Prasad's argument for a moment, which also has compelling logic. When you look at this statement by Geelani, there is no terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir. And there is a message of morale that you need to keep up among your soldiers who are actually dying there. General is saying, by sending your former army chief, you are mixed messaging to your own men in uniform.
I don't think our men in uniform are so gullible. I think they understand that one man is now a minister and they have a chief, right? They have a chief, they have their commanders. I think let's not reduce this argument to juvenile levels. We are a very large country, fourth largest army in the world. We are a very strong country. For us to get into this minutiae of who will be sent, who will not be sent, suppose a Muslim minister had been sent, why send a Muslim? So this can just go on and on. If Punjabi was spent, once somebody joins in India's Council of Ministers, he's a minister.
General Prasad, go ahead.
And he's a respected minister.
I leave this chief of the army, retired chief of the army staff, one moment away. I want to understand what exactly is the government of India's policy towards Pakistan and in particular towards terrorism in Kashmir. Every day our soldiers are dying. Not from today but from so many years. We believed that when this new government has come, it's taking a particular stand against terrorism emanating from Pakistan. That's the primary issue which is concerning all of us retired service officers who have served in Kashmir under difficult situations. Today we are highly confused as to what the government of India is wanting to do with Pakistan. Nobody says don't talk. Talk as you want to talk. But there is got to be some consistency. One minute. Barkha, let me finish. No, Barkha, it's a very serious matter. Let me finish it.
Today about the Pakistan
no, Barkha, please let me finish it today. You call off the Barkha, please don't do this. Let me just complete it. A couple of months ago, you call off talks because of separatist talking. Today, you stand with the separatists, encouraging them to do what they feel like. And then, you are talking about the army chief. The army chief, whether retired or serving, and whether me serving or retired Lieutenant General of the Indian Army, we still have our hearts and soul with the people who fight there.
So do we, sir, just because
we were commanding troops which are terrorists there. We were commanding troops which are state-sponsored terrorism in Kashmir. How can I ever accept it? I am a retired fellow, I couldn't care less, but I can't accept it. How can General VK Singh accept it? He was commanding the army for so many years. He commanded a corps in Kashmir. Was he commanding troops who were perpetrating terrorism in Kashmir?
General Prasad,
and then you send him there. Okay, he had to go because he's a politician today. But can we not avoid it by sending someone else there?
May I ask a question? May I ask a question first? General Prasad, would you, as somebody who has fought in Kargil, who has commanded in the Kashmir Valley, so we know your sacrifices and the sacrifices of your men, and we salute you. My question is, tomorrow if you met a Pakistani at an event, would you not have a cup of tea and a convivial conversation with him? Would that make you any less nationalistic?
No. That is not the question. Okay. I am today not holding a position in the government.
Okay.
But today there is another gentleman who is holding a responsible position in the government, who has held a more responsible position in the army. Therefore, it's sending a wrong message. Please try to understand this, Barkha. I am Mr. Nobody today. General VK Singh is a minister. He is a retired army chief. He commanded an army there.
Yes.
That's not the same thing. If I meet a Pakistani today, there's no problem in my having a cup of tea with him. That's not the issue. Today, it's a government-to-government issue. I'm not in the government today.
Okay.
If I go somewhere, it doesn't matter. But there is a government representative giving the policy of India.
Shekhar, quickly, and then Abhishek.
I have to make my two paisa about a civilian's point.
Okay.
That patriotism, you don't have to wear a uniform to be a patriot. All Indians are patriots.
But we can't draw equivalence with soldiers who are actually
whoever
dying.
Is saying
no, we are armchair patriots.
I'm not saying that.
No, I am saying we are armchair patriots.
But there is no question of equivalence.
Barkha.
Yes.
The question is, somebody is now in
Abhishek, half a second.
Somebody is now in public life.
Yes.
The army belongs to me as much as it belongs to a soldier. The country belongs to me as much as it belongs to a soldier. All of us contribute in our ways. Yes, soldiers contribute in a very special way. And frankly, I think it's a very good message. It's very smart of the Prime Minister to send a former army chief who's a Minister of State, because it's something that people of Pakistan will look at and marvel.
Okay, Abhishek, are you convinced by Shekhar's argument?
No, just on this.
Yeah.
No, it's just a thought struck me that Aristotle said that virtue normally lies in between. Each of the extremes is a vice normally.
Yes.
I think that certainly Shekhar is overstating it considerably by saying it's the best thing which could be done, it's the best choice. Certainly not. But equally, the general is also, I think, overstating it. I don't think it's such a major point that he was sent. I think the right approach is that there were other options available. They ought to have avoided sending General VK Singh. If he sent, it's not a crime. It's certainly not the best option. The short point is that when an army chief who is supposed to be fighting and has fought Pakistanis all his life is sent as the chief guest from the country, from the countryside, or as one of the important guests, it does send a mixed signal. And I think therefore it's not a huge point on which somebody can object, because he does hold a different position now. But certainly the government should have been more aware and sensitive, and there are so many other ways of doing it. I mean, General VK Singh can go to all over the place. He doesn't have to go to Pakistani National Day.
Okay, let me get Sambit to come in now. Sambit, not just is the Congress and the General questioning you on your confused policy overall, they are questioning the choice of the Indian representative because he has been an army chief. Are we extending an olive branch, or are we sending an olive green message there to Pakistan?
See, Barkha, let me be very straightforward with my approach to this question.
Yes.
The government is working with the principle in view that zero tolerance for terrorism is the way in which we have to move as far as Pakistan is concerned. And if you remember, Barkha, recently the Director General of BSF had issued a statement when there was cross-border firing. The ceasefire violations were in excess. Then he had said that never before had the BSF, and I even agree that even the army in fact had retaliated in the way that this time they had retaliated under the Modi government. This only means that there is ample strictness in the air as far as dealing the wrongdoings of Pakistan is concerned.
But you're not answering the question.
As far as foreign policy of the government,
you have given some long generalized comment, I'm sorry to say, but you have not answered the question. Do you think...
No, I'm answering the question as well.
Please let me ask my question.
I'm answering the question as well.
Please let me at least ask my question. Do you believe there is careful thought and messaging in the choice of General VK Singh as Shekhar believes, or do you believe there is absolute absence of thought in the sending of General VK Singh as General Shankar Prasad believes?
Everything that this government does is with great deal of calibration and vision in mind. Surely with the performance that we have to have zero tolerance for terrorism in mind, the government has acted in a way in which I would not like to preempt what is the inside story, because diplomacy is something which is not to be declared, not to be discussed on television in a way which is open to all.
Okay, I think that is an honest statement, and that is the whole point. Abhishek Singhvi, would you agree with at least that diplomacy cannot have a reductionist media narrative? You know, and the Congress is today trying to swap roles with the BJP.
See, first of all, I think it's a bit rich, almost comic to call it a implementation of a vision to send Mr. VK Singh. I think that's really going way beyond any reasonable suggestion. Okay. Certainly, it's not a vision. Certainly, far better things could have been done than sending Mr. VK Singh. But I don't consider it a crime. I will not fault the government. I wouldn't have a press conference on this issue. He's after all a minister of the government of India.
Okay.
Secondly, generalities are always correct. I mean, can anybody object to the fact that diplomacy is not supposed to be reduced to some very inflexible straitjacket? Certainly not.
Yes.
The larger issue which is relevant is the complete lack of coherence, consistency, and a very
absolutely
consistent set of knee-jerk reactions for the last 9 months. If we just map it out from the swearing until now,
I think
very knee-jerk.
I think that is a reasonable question.
That's the real point.
I think that's a reasonable question, and I want General Shankar Prasad, Shekhar Gupta and Wahid to come in on this. And General, I'll start with you. I was trying to ask you earlier, do you believe the Congress was as inconsistent? Because you have seen both the BJP and the Congress years as an army commander.
Yes. You know, I do not wish to say consistent or inconsistent the Congress was. Whatever Congress did is known to everybody. Please don't make me say it on television. What I am very upset today is this, that there has been change in our stance ever since the present government has come. When the government took charge soon after May, we were getting very confident that there is going to be some reaction to what terrorism Pakistan thrusts on us.
Okay.
When the talks were called off, we got yet another message. But then thereafter, we do not know where are we going. We can't understand what is the policy of the government of India today vis-a-vis Pakistan. Either we shouldn't have called off the talks. Why did we call off the talks? The Hurriyat have been meeting in the past. Let them continue.
I think that this is a very reasonable question.
And we got a message.
I think this is a very reasonable question.
We got a message,
to respond to this.
And today we are getting a different message.
I think that's a very reasonable question.
Is there something major that has changed in between?
I agree.
Has there been some compulsion in between that has changed our stance?
That we don't know.
Is there a total change of our diplomatic philosophy towards Pakistan? I need to get answers to these questions.
Okay,
what is it that has forced us to change our position?
Okay, 1 minute. Shekhar, just for a moment, imagine that it was a Congress Minister of State who had attended this Pakistan event, and Syed Ali Shah Geelani had declared that there is no terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir 4 days after your civilians and security personnel had died. We can only imagine what the BJP would have said. I think General Prasad has a very valid question in saying that when Mr. Modi's government came to power, he was applauded for drawing new red lines by many of his supporters after the talks were cancelled. Has the BJP painted itself into a corner? Has the BJP made itself open to attack from the Congress today by initially scrapping off those talks?
Well, first of all, what the parallel you are drawing has actually taken place. About 15 years back or 17 years back, 1977 or 1978, when Raghunandan Lal Bhatia, who was a Minister of State, represented Government of India at the Pakistan Day reception, and rumors spread that he wasn't offered a place to sit. It was completely untrue. In fact, he kept on saying off the record many times that aisa kuch nahi hua tha. But the fact is, once it spread, if he had said it in public, it would have looked like defending the Pakistanis. Right? So a whole mythology was built that Pakistanis were discourteous to him, and he was. So it's not as if BJP has not played the game that the Congress is now trying to play.
But has the BJP tied itself up in knots?
Yes, I think the BJP had tied itself up in knots. BJP had painted itself in a corner. No. It was a completely wrong approach to say that just because the High Commissioner is meeting Hurriyat, that's happened all the time. You know, as far as India is concerned, Hurriyat people are Indian citizens. Anybody can.
But the Hurriyat doesn't see themselves as Indian citizens.
Doesn't matter. Let them get another passport. India doesn't allow dual citizenship. Let them dump Indian citizenship and get another one, then we'll see. But until then, so far, before every round of talks, Pakistanis have met Hurriyat. Let them meet. Let Hurriyat also get their 15 seconds.
But these kind of god-awful comments from Geelani.
No, but have you ever heard conciliatory, pro-Indian, patriotic, sort of JP Datta movie kind of comment from Geelani. Geelani is a Kashmiri separatist. He's on the right of the entire separatist gang.
He's a Pakistani representative. Now,
in fact, he's the only genuine separatist. All the others are heading the way of Sajjad Lone.
Yeah. I want to bring in just Wahid for a moment, and then I'll come to you, General Shankar Prasad. Wahid, are you a bit worried, and as people must be listening to the fact that you and the BJP are in government together, and your common minimum program actually commits itself to a reconciliation process with Pakistan as well as with the Hurriyat? Now, the BJP actually doesn't sound to me like it's necessarily made up its mind. And the same Mufti Muhammad Saeed, who was one minute, and the same Mufti Muhammad Saeed, who was praising Pakistan at his first press conference, has now had to come out and condemn Pakistan for the terror strikes. So these inconsistencies are not unique to one party.
What is being done here is that some of the statements of Mufti Muhammad Saeed have been picked and chosen. So you have to see the whole text, whenever he used. He has been thanking the Army, Election Commission of India, security forces for having a peaceful election from the beginning of the elections. But some of the statements were exaggerated, some of were chosen. Why they were chosen, you know it. That's not the point today. The whole idea of PDP in this election was not for power. Our mandate in Jammu and Kashmir is only for peace. We believe that the
But what do you feel about the elected representatives?
India and Pakistan and Srinagar and Delhi should be consistent.
Wahid, what do you feel about the elected representatives not getting any recognition and the Hurriyat being treated as you know, state guests virtually at the Pakistan High Commission?
Pakistan does not define recognition of Jammu and Kashmir government. We need recognition in front of people of India and the government of India and the Constitution of India. We are duly recognized by the state of India, by the Constitution of India. We don't need recognition from the Pakistan embassy. So we are not worried about it. Even if they invite us, we don't want to go there. That's not the issue. What we are asking to you and the whole country today is that here is the right time, and the Prime Minister of India has a very decisive and powerful mandate. Let's not waste this mandate for another 60 years, and let's not get into counter-terrorism only. Let us do something very seriously as the prevention of terrorism. The people in Pakistan should not become terrorists. The moment they become terrorists, they will come either Afghanistan, either Pakistan or other places. The idea of Mufti Muhammad Saeed politics in Jammu and Kashmir today is, can we do something seriously with Pakistan and settle the issue once for all?
Okay, that's very interestingly said, and I think it's an important statement you've made, that the elected representatives do not
need definition. The question you may want
definition.
to ask him is, what does he think will happen if Geelani contests election in Kashmir? Ask him.
What do you think will happen if Geelani contests election? Well, he does get a pension, as far as I know, from the... He was once an MLA.
We are not really worried about it. I don't know what is going to happen. The best can happen that he may win the election, one seat, which is okay. I mean, he's most welcome to join mainstream the way Sajjad Lone has joined.
That's it. Welcome. Yes, General Prasad, you know something? We have... General Prasad, let me ask a question and then you can respond. I'm sorry, I'm being told I think we have Mirwais Omar Farooq on the phone, so please just 1 minute. The Mirwais, of course, was at that reception, such a storm across television channels, but in this studio we are questioning whether nationalism should be defined in such narrow terms. Mirwais Omar Farooq, are you taken aback at how much your presence and your colleagues' presence at the Pakistan Day event has created a political storm?
Yes, I must say, really, it's really unfortunate, the amount of negative hype and which is created by our meeting. It's really unfortunate. I mean, the whole question is that, half of Delhi was there. So if no question was raised on their, coming to the reception, why is the Hurriyat being singled out and, we are given names as traitors and anti-national and terrorists? See, Barkha, the fact is that, apart from the fact that whatever be the political, scenario in Jammu and Kashmir in terms of elections, in terms of governance, there is a very big question which is about the sentiment, which is about aspiration. And the moment you talk about that thing, the amount of negativity that is around, whether it's media, whether it's even the academic circles, whether it's the politicians. I mean, how are we supposed to move forward? I mean, what happened to that Vajpayee's vision, his dream of insaniyat, his dream of, out of the box, his dream of, shedding the beaten track?
Do you welcome the fact? Do you welcome the fact that the Modi government did send a representative despite intense media pressure to not do so?
I think so. It's very good, and we welcome it. And that was the whole crux of my meeting also with Mr. Basit yesterday. You know, we had a long meeting, and believe me, the Hurriyat wants to see the whole Indo-Pakistan dialogue being strengthened. You know, we don't want to be a hurdle. In fact, we want to be a bridge, and we understand that if India and Pakistan come closer to each other, the biggest beneficiaries of that are the people of Kashmir. So I don't see why every time in the media, every time there's a media trial of the Hurriyat leaders, and you know, we have made scapegoats, whether last time when the government called off the talks for no reason. I mean, you know, even if the Hurriyat is coming and meeting the people here, I mean, we come regularly, we have been meeting embassies, we have been meeting diplomats. So what is the big deal? I mean,
but why don't you meet the Indian government? Why do you only meet the Pakistanis is the question some might ask.
Barkha, you have been covering Kashmir for a long time. Hurriyat stuck its neck out, you know, when we said that yes, in spite of pressures, we are willing to engage with New Delhi. I mean, my uncle was killed, my house was bombed, my school was burned down. But we said no, we want to see that yes, we want to engage, we want to see a better and a brighter future for our kids. I mean, for God's sake, I'm 40 now. When I started, I was 16. Yeah. So, you know, in a sense that this how long is this animosity, this hatred, you know, this narrow nationalism going to define not only India but also, I would say, the whole of South Asia?
Let me ask you last question, Mirwais Saab. I've known you for many years and I've known you as a moderate. You've always been described as a dove among hawks. But when Syed Ali Shah Geelani at that same event says there's no terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir, isn't that being disingenuous? How can you be a bridge if you don't recognize the fact that there is cross-border terrorism?
Shiva, I mean, Barkha, you have to understand that there is violence from both the sides. I mean, if you are condemning one violence, I mean, how can you justify the other violence? Isn't it the fact that Jammu Kashmir is the world's highest militarized zone? I mean, you have AFSPA, you have black laws, you have Armed Forces Special Powers Act, you have Disturbed Areas Act. I mean, what answer do I give to my people who ask me, there are 9,000 people missing in Kashmir since 1990. There are 6,000 unmarked graves in Kashmir. I mean, what answer do I give them?
Okay.
So I think, you know, the responsibility lies on both sides, and that is where the Hurriyat feels that, you know, the more we try to act as a bridge, the more we are pushed. And I'm sorry to say that if this happens, whatever scope there is to move forward, we are losing that. And I believe that in this way, you are again pushing Kashmir towards an era of violence and hate.
Okay. Thank you, Mirwais Omar Farooq, for those comments. Just time now for last comments from a panel. 15 seconds to everybody. General Shankar Prasad.
Barkha, India-Pakistan relations are based on two issues, the Lahore Agreement and the Simla Agreement, in which there is bilateral relationship, there is no role for anybody else. Separatists have no role to play. Pakistan has no business to talk to separatists. Anything that has to be resolved, whether it's Congress government, BJP government or any other government, it is based on Simla and Lahore agreements.
Okay, Abhishek
so can
Singh,
we stick to that?
Abhishek Singh, 15
there
seconds.
Is no such third party which is going to come in the dialogue.
Abhishek, 15 seconds.
I think this has been a program with many issues. No issue is relevant, neither the visit per se to a High Commission nor VK Singh. The only issue relevant is that the country deserves, especially with a government of such mandate, a consistency and coherence in policy.
Okay,
and it requires it consistently in the future. For 9 months it's been absent, and I hope it improves in the future.
I have 30 seconds for everybody else left. Sambit.
Barkha, let me assure the country through your channel tonight. Have faith on this government. This government knows where to draw red lines, and this government knows how much of leeway is to be given to Pakistan. Please do not assume that diplomatic posturing, diplomatic niceties means we are trying to share dais with the separatists. When yes, all stakeholders should be engaged within the country. That does not mean India and Pakistan should have any third stakeholder.
Sorry, Wahid, 10 seconds.
Well, I think media really needs to behave all over the country today. If you really want a sustainable peace in Jammu and Kashmir state, this alliance should be facilitated. The CMP of BJP PDP alliance should be allowed to move forward for some time.
Okay, Shekhar, very, very quickly, please.
Look, first of all, I think we've had consistency not just in the BJP or the Congress government, but even from BJP to the Congress government on our Pakistan policy.
Yeah.
And if it does look like Vajpayee sort of went back and forth, it's because of events.
Yeah.
And he adjusted very quickly.
Yeah.
The only time we broke that consistency in the last 18 years was when the Congress party let down Manmohan Singh on Sharm el Sheikh. I think now the Modi government, with today's presence at the Pakistan High Commission is going back to that consistent position.
Okay.
That these.
So you're actually saying it's a return to consistency and not inconsistency.
Relationship will go up and down, but this will continue.
We'll leave it there. Shekhar Gupta, General Shankar Prasad, Samit Patra, Abhishek Singhvi, and of course Wahidur Rahman. Thank you so much for joining us on the Buck Stops here. A quick break, and on the other side, Home Minister Rajnath Singh sparks a new controversy. He now wants a national debate on why there should be conversions at all. On the Buck Stops here, before we go tonight, the Home Minister sparking a new controversy by saying there should be national debate on whether conversions are needed at all.
धर्मांतरण के मुद्दे पर जरूर मैंने कहा कि कभी घर वापसी, कभी धर्मांतरण, यह सब सारे जो सवाल खड़े किए जाते हैं, अब इसके बारे में लोगों को विचार करना चाहिए कि क्या बिना धर्मांतरण के लोगों की सेवा नहीं की जा सकती। दुनिया के दूसरे देशों में बराबर माइनॉरिटीज के द्वारा यह मांग की जाती है कि एंटी कन्वर्जन लॉ होनी चाहिए, लेकिन यहां पर भारत में स्थिति सर्वथा उसके विपरीत है। तो यह सब सारे ऐसे सवाल हैं जिस पर कि मैं समझता हूं कि देशवासियों को विचार करने की जरूरत है।
So Rajnath Singh there actually contradicting the Prime Minister, who said there is complete freedom in India to not just practice but also adopt any religion of choice. We'll keep an eye on that controversy as well. But for now, from all of us here, thanks for watching. Goodbye.